Welcome to Impact. Now, before we get started on this review, let's put this out. I don't need to do a gut report, and we're going to talk about it right now. Now, I do want to apologize because you did not see an NXT review. As I said to someone in the comments, I was pretty pissed off and upset because of a package that did not arrive. Supposedly, USPS sent it, they dropped it off, and it got stolen. Pretty much is gone. And I was pretty pissed off about that. That's the reason why I did not do my NXT review. So I do apologize. I allowed my anger to get the better of me. So I did not see Marshall Samovich on from TNA to NXT. I did not see it. But I did check after I saw the comment earlier today about TNA and WWE. As they're putting it, TKO WWE. You got to make it very clear. They don't want people to see that is TKO WWE. WWE and TNA are currently in a partnership, a multi-year deal. So it is obvious there's going to be money exchanged, that WWE is giving TNA some cash. They're going to be doing some publicity for them. Whenever they do their shows, it's obvious they're going to talk about TNA. And there will be exchange from, well, let me give it to you like this. And this is the thing, that is the truth, because I've already seen this is a wonderful thing. Let's make it clear. This is an extension to their developmental. I said the vibes of OVW, and it is. It's not the point that WWE does not own TNA. And I know one person said, hey, and you know who you are, you always leave me a sonnet. Usually you've been doing short lately, which I'm kind of surprised. I know you will do a big one sooner or later, but you've been doing them short lately. But I want to say this to you and everybody else. It doesn't matter they own TNA. If their developmental is working with another company, that means they're an extension of that developmental, not the main roster. Remember, if this was main roster Raw working with TNA, it would be Raw and TNA. If it was SmackDown, it would be SmackDown and TNA. It's NXT. And even though NXT is now in USA and a replacement for Raw, it is still considered the developmental. You're not on the main roster. And with TNA working with NXT, it is an extension of their developmental. Think about it for a minute. This is what they're doing. They're using another company to help train the people in the Performance Center who have not gone through the indies. Remember, many people say that the people who go for the Performance Center have no idea what it's like to work on the indies. Well, guess what? That's what TNA is for. They have their mini indie right there. And if you actually believe, and I say this again, that WWE, TKO WWE, to be honest, is not trying to use another company, and that it's corporation's own satellite company, to have an advantage in some way, you're wrong. Because that's what this is being done. Yes, TNA will get some advantage, but let's make it very clear. If they really wanted to work with someone that was second in line, who was second in line? Tony. Who's their competitor? AEW. And we know, JD has already said this, Alex has already said this, when it comes down to it, even though Vince is no longer there, they rather stay on top. They want to make sure they stay on top and make sure anyone is under them. AEW is under them. The only reason they will work with them if it would benefit them, heavily benefit them, to them. TNA is the third company in line. Let's make it very clear. That is what TNA is. It's third in line of any major promotion in this country and in Canada and internationally mainly, other than New Japan or AAA, of course. But let's be honest here. With TNA being this extension of NXT, you're going to see more of their staff, their kind of way of working on the show. You're going to see more of TNA showing a little bit more flair similar to NXT, because let's make it very clear, they're working with NXT, the developmental. They're going to try and make sure whatever money they've been getting from from NXT and TKO WWE and Ari Emanuel, that they got to at least look the part. They're going to make sure that most of their current material they're doing, some of their, well, let's make it very clear. Have you noticed the camera work is better? Have you noticed the audio is a bit better? Have you noticed that the backstage segments are a little bit better? you could see almost a little bit of influence from NXT and how they do their stuff. They're trying to make sure they do have continuity across this company and their company. At least enough that, of course, TNA doesn't look like NXT at all, but it does have at least consistency whenever any of their people do show up. So now they notice if we work with TNA, who's always been second in line before AEW, and we know that our wrestlers and some of our staff have come from TNA, it has happened. What do you think, Nick? No, stay calm. Nick Aldis, AJ Styles, and multiple people have gone through TNA. You know who they are Generico, Kevin Owens, Shinsuke Nakamura, anybody who's anybody who went through the Indies eventually went to TNA. So they know TNA will produce what they like. So this is why TNA has been chosen. Because they got so many people from TNA that at least they know, like Motor City Machine Guns. Let's make it clear. Jordan Grace is going sooner or later, and Joe Henry may go sooner or later. It is going to happen. They will do it eventually. Even if the style of TNA, when it comes to the mic work, when it comes to the backstage segments, even the camera work, is different from how TKO WWE works. At least it's not so far behind, unlike when it came to Jade Cargill, who was like this. And AJ Styles, even though he wished he had gone to NXT and their developmental, he wasn't like down here. He was here. Easily more than Jade was from AEW, who won over 50 wins with a minted title that had no prestige. And that's not meant to be cruel to Jade Cargill. Not at all. Not even a Tony Khan. Tony is different. He's different. But it is obvious he did not train her enough. She was not ready. That's the truth. That is what this is. An extension of their developmental, which makes them a developmental extension. You don't like it? I can't tell you anymore. You're going to try and tell me, dude, you're wrong. Well, guess what? They're getting paid. They're not doing it because of the good nature of TKO and Ari Emanuel's heart. TNA's getting paid, so don't play with me. Now, let's go to the show. Let me give it to you like this. Overall, the show going into Genesis was not bad. Not bad at all. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. Let's start with the first match, Leon Slater versus Trent Seven, with a Frankie at commentary. We're still going to have that little feud between Frankie and Leon Slater. And I will tell you, the match between him and Trent Seven was good. I wish they would start doing storylines with Leon Slater and do more with Trent Seven, since now we know that the person that we love, Speedball Mike Bailey, is now going to go with AEW. It would be nice to see a Trent Seven get more time. Now, seeing that he is working with Leon, hopefully they will do, well, he did work with Leon. Hopefully he'll do more. Don't know. But I'm hoping to go there. Next, Macklin and Eric versus First Class. Yeah, your money. I know. And I've heard more than a few times with JD playing and messing with Top Dollar, the former AJ Francis. As I've told you guys more than a few times, I do the best I can not to play into messing with people. I am here to do my best to give a fair assessment of a promotion and the wrestlers who are in it, how they do their styles to a certain extent. I'm not a play and blow-by-blow wrestling reviewer. I'm just not. I will tell you what would be good about the match and what is good about that person. And I know Top Dollar has not been treated very well when it came to JD or Alex. They have not really always talked to him very well. And I'm not going to tell you that AJ Francis has always been great when it comes to talking on Twitter, X. He hasn't. But I'm here to tell you what I think of what's been going on with Top Flight. And I'm going to say this. Since Rich Swann is no longer with the company, and we have Casey Navarra and AJ Francis, they are on kind of like the comedic wrestlers, but also when it's time to be serious, they're on it. So if you saw during this match, when you could see at least a few people get behind AJ Francis going to money, I'm not going to tell you it's going to catch on heavily, but I will tell you that the person who is the best wrestler between them is KC Navarro. It is obvious. Now, who is the most flamboyant between the two? It's kind of split because KC and AJ play off each other very well. When you see them in backstage segment, when you see them in interviews, when you see them messing with other people, you can see a little bit more of KC messing with him because he's like that sawed-off little runt who just wants to start something. And then you see the top dollar who does have the attitude like KC, but he'll hang back and wait until you make when you make the trouble, and then he will lay down the smacker down to you. That's how it works. And I will say generally, they've done a pretty good job as a tag team. It's not about if they win, it's about relevancy. That's one thing people don't get these days. You gotta be flashy. You gotta do the wrestling matches. You have to do psychology on top of that. And you gotta have a persona. You gotta have charisma. You gotta have good mic skills. Both these guys can talk. One of them is way better of a wrestler than the other one. KC is a better wrestler than AJ Francis. It's obvious. AJ is a power wrestler who wants to sometimes do flashy moves like Tennessee Whiskey that I truly wish he wouldn't do. I'd rather see him do a splash off the top turn rope. I'd rather see him do something you wouldn't expect him to do. Now, one of the last matches he did a Hurricanrana. Now, do I believe that was good? No. But at least he was willing to do a Hurricanrana. He did do a very decent drop kick almost about a month ago, which wasn't bad. He doesn't do it often, but he can do it. I'm telling you, as a big man, he's not the best, but he is the most flamboyant and most talkative. And he's a strong wrestler on top of it. So I will give you that. Was this match a good one? AJ does what AJ does. He's not one of the most strongest power wrestlers, but he's all right. KC is the one who made the match work, and he was one the job for a Eric Young. Now, when you see the system coming out, messing with Macklin and EY, when it comes down to it, this is about what happened to Gretchen being laid out. So we will be getting possibly a match at Genesis with these two tag teams. Fine, it's not a bad storyline, but it's not a great one. I wish there was more development with it, but let's make it very clear. Last year was an issue due to the fact that the bad hurricane that happened, and they lost 2 weeks of what they normally would do. Almost 3 to a certain extent, but 2 weeks they lost of normal tapings, which I'm hoping will be the last time they do it for the entire year. But I know they're not going to, and that's going to be a hindrance to them. But that's just me. Next, we got Laredo Kid versus Jake Something. Still Hammerstone is out. But in this match, someone told Hammerstone, dude, we want you to destroy a Laredo Kid. Just beat the living shit out of him. Laredo, you're going to do everything you can to sell, but make sure that you do get your bits in. And that's what we got. Laredo Kid gave his best, and then he got flattened. And you can hear the commentary team saying, this guy doesn't even need Hammerstone. Why was he even a tag team? And they're saying, no. The reason he was in a tag team, because he wanted to be, not because he needed to be. Now the question's going to be, what would he do with Jake Something? Jake has always been a very good, strong-powered wrestler. And he has been able to talk better than he used to. When he was part of the Deaners, he didn't really talk very well. He didn't talk much. And either it was bad booking or it was him. Now he can talk, and his work in the ring also reflects that. But the question is, what are they going to do with him? I don't know. Next, we got you could say a qualifying match for a Genesis. If PCO and... Let me give you like this. Seeing that interview with Gina Miller, and you hearing a PCO go, really? Really? Sorry if that was too loud in the mic. Sorry. Really? But it is what we got. This was very clearly Sammy translating, I have a PhD with monster. Really? But he did translate pretty much saying, look, here's the deal. We have our chance to go up against two of the greatest in the tag team of all time. He didn't say one being a champion and one being a champion. The two greatest in tag team wrestling. If we win, we get into this title with them and the Rascals. That's what this match was all about. And it wasn't a bad match. I liked the match. It wasn't bad. But in the end, they did not win, and now it's going to be the current great talent versus the greatest all-around talent when they didn't screw themselves up. Taking nothing away from the Hardys, Jeff and Matt. They messed up their lives. And at least Jeff looks like he's all right now. Matt, many years ago, cleaned up his way. That's why he's doing so well. So I will give it to both of them at this moment. Both are clean, both are good, and now they're happy, hopefully, in their life in TNA, not in AEW, not in WWE. If they're better off being in TNA, where they do tapings, where they can stay home most of the time and not be on the road, not be heavily banged up, they can work their dojo, their wrestling company, wrestling developmental of their own, and they're able to stay away from hurting themselves, drinking and stuff. More power to them. I like to see them another 10 years in the business as long as they're happy and they're healthy. And in the end, they won, and now they're going up against the Rascals. Fine. All right. Let me give it to you like this. After the match was over, we got a lot of segments. Now, again, we did get another vid pack from Joe Henry. I did like it. It was okay. And I will tell you this. Going into... this is what it comes down to. If he loses at Genesis, this coming Bound for Glory of 2025, that will probably be when they'll finally give him the title if he doesn't get it here at Genesis. Because I don't see them giving the Slammiversary. I just don't see that. But I do see that he will win the title eventually. The question is going to be if it's going to work. Now, the closing of the show is when we have Joe and Nick talking. And Nick did address what had happened about Bound for Glory and John Layfield talking with him, laying him out, and then laying out Ryan. And he pretty much said, look, I know you believe me. I don't know what happened. Look what he did. After he laid you out, he laid out my brother. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to make it clear. If I had been conscious at the time, because you had me on the pin, you beat me. Because, let's make this clear, the opening was Joe saying, I need to win, slowly ramping up. He had to start screaming into Nick's face, I need to win. Was not bad. And Nick, still being a face, not giving him an attitude, wanted to say, if I was conscious, you would not seen that ending when it came to you and when it came to my brother. But as Joe said, I don't believe because of one reason. And then Ryan comes out saying that he's a snake. And what do we get? Ryan getting into the ring after Joe told him, you need to get out of my face. But he said, okay, I'm going to get in your face, technically. Nick tried to stop it. He gets shoved out of the way by Joe. Joe's about to throw him through the mat when Nick basically super kicks him in the face. And then Nick is looking at his little brother saying, no, stop. He's not happy. He didn't want to kick Nick in the face. And he was not happy what his brother was doing. Telling him to leave me alone, stop it. And people are telling him, punch him. They were saying, punch Ryan. They were telling Nick to punch Ryan because Ryan caused this mess in the first place. Which is understandable because he did cause this mess. But it's now a question of how Nick Nimitz is going to be acting at Genesis. Because he did not want to do what he did supposedly. But are we looking at a heel turn for Nick? Are we seeing that a possible Layfield will come out? We'll see Ryan being with Layfield? Or will we see something with Joe Henry with Layfield because he tricked Nick and Ryan was right? We don't know what we're going to go. But let's move on. Now, I know I did not address the 23. I'm addressing it here. When PCO, Sammy, and the Hardys were doing it, we got the 23 flash again. I have no idea who it could be. Now, my speculation, if it's not Dijak, if it's not, I don't want to know. Do not leave a message down below. I don't want to know. I'm making it clear. I'll get angry if anyone says, oh, I found out in Dirt Sheets who it is. Do not tell me. If you piss me off, I will delete your comment. If I find it out, I probably will delete it because it'll anger me. So please, I don't delete comments. But if I find that you did leave a comment saying who it really is, I will get angry at you and I will delete your comment. and I might not talk to you because I'm making it very clear I don't want to know. I made this clear a long time ago. I don't do heavy dirt sheets or websites unless I'm going to do research for a Gump report. Do not tell me. Don't. If you want to tell me this is a person I think it is, fine. But don't tell me and leave me any information, the one you know who you are, and anyone else. You can speculate all you want. Leave a speculation who you think it is. But don't leave me a comment of where you found this dirt sheet, who says it. Don't. But the people I said, Mustafa Ali, Dijak, who else would be a good candidate to go there? I don't know. I'm not sure who would be the best person would be reflective of 23. It's a hard sell to say who is the best person that would be covered under 23. That could be 23 years. But you know what? It could be anything. Moving on. Now, what can I say about Ash and Heather of Elegance and their pre-championship party? We know that Ash is resigned, so she's staying there for another year, which I'm glad she's doing that. Look, you may not like Dana Brooke, but Dana serves her purpose. She does stuff. She's not 100% trash. Look, she's a good-looking woman. No doubting it. She got curves that would kill. And she can talk to a certain extent and wrestle to a certain extent. And she could help get other people relevancy if she does it correctly with the right booking and the right character. So working with Heather is not a bad thing. Working with the Iceman is not a bad thing. And I'd rather see comedic wrestlers or people who are near it, or at least who have some ability to make you laugh, get on your nerves, or make you get pissed off. Because that's the job of a wrestler. That is to either make you love them, make you hate them, make you get annoyed by them. If they make you get annoyed by just being there and their storylines are not working, their character's not working, then they failed. When it comes to Ash, she's annoying because she's Ash of Elegance. That is how annoying she is. She's a sexy-ass woman who thinks she's full of herself. That's her character. She's doing her job. Heather, she needs more time. She's not really good at it yet, and I think she needs more time to develop as a type of person who can do characters. So it's basically Ash who's doing the character, and Heather's trying to work with Iceman, who's got his mess down. He's a concierge. He's all right. And seeing that we got two cutouts of Heather and Ash with the tag titles, and the first person that she thanks, was it the second or the first? First is Heather, then the concierge, and he wants to go, oh, I'm so happy. Really? Can you play it up anymore, you little bastard? You're working with one of the most well-endowed women in pro wrestling. Not the most. Understand something. Ash of Elegance is one of the most well-built women in pro wrestling. She's damn good looking with a great set of tits and a great set of ass. Is she most the best looking one? No. Natalia you know who it is. Not Natalia from WWE. It is the NWA Natalia Makovia. She is one of the most thickest, athletic, and sexiest looking woman you could see that can wrestle. Look, Natalia Makovich, who is from NWA, the woman is this, looks great here, and she's a hard fighting pro wrestler. She will literally get into a fight with you. She has been seen having black eyes and even broke her nose maybe at one point. Bruises on her body, and she carries it with pride. That woman don't give a fuck, but she's fucking hot. That is the most sexiest woman right now that I see in pro wrestling. She's that damn built. If she went to TNA, she would outshine a Ash Elegance. She would not like it. And next to that, she would beat the shit out of her in a real fight if they did it. But what do we get next to taken away from Natalia Markovich? If that's her last name. It's been a while since I've seen her. But we got Spitfire. But let me give it to you like this. Was it going to be Spitfire coming out? Of course. There's no other women tag team right now they're going to use. That's really sad. This is what I've said about TNA. If you got... Something's on my foot, sorry. This is what happens when you stand too long. Your foot goes asleep. This is what you get when TNA does not let their tag teams or their single... I'm trying not to be really negative here about this, because even though the segment wasn't bad and it does build into Genesis, it still has a glaring weakness, guys. A very big glaring weakness. Let's make it very clear. The major issue that TNA has for their women, for their knockouts, is that they never bring in enough women, or any women for that matter, to job for them to make the division look full. That's the major issue, and it always feels the same way. And I think it's dumb. But we get the fight, then we get the cutouts beaten up and ripped in half. And you see, and I don't think I have a picture of it. I don't even know if I'm going to add it. But you see, maybe I'll add this one image of Ash screaming at her own picture's head being ripped off its shoulders. Was it overacting on Ash's part? Of course it was. But that's the way she works. She's over the top, an annoying, sexy piece of ass you want to do something with that can, to a certain extent, wrestle. That's what she is. Now, let's get to the Northern Armory and Santana. Did I like that segment? Yes. Hearing they are fucking with a Josh Alexander being bald. They are, look, I don't usually take this off. See, I'm not gonna lie. I'll be 54 years right now. I am lucky I have any hair on my head. But there are people, and understand, this is receded quite a lot. It used to be here. Now it's here. At least I think it was. It's been a while. But you can see how Josh has no hair, and they're fucking with his baldness. And let me give it like this. It is good to see that they're trying to use character development to get this story over. They're not lying about Santana. No one lies about it. Santana for 5 years straight before coming back. Well, 4 years straight. Coming back, he did nothing. Yes, he did work with AEW. He did work with Ortiz. He did work with Chris Jericho. Yes, the Inner Circle did work, but it was never to get him over by himself. And to a certain extent, the tag team didn't last very long because it just fell apart. And since he came back, not as a tag team member, but as a singles wrestler, he's done really well. He can talk his ass off and he can wrestle. And I truly believe if they gave him the damn title, not the X Division, but the actual title, he could make something out of it. And I can truly see that it could work. And seeing that this storyline right now, that he wants to be the standard and wants to become champion, it's going to possibly work very well. I'm not against it. And seeing it's going to be an I Quit match, since there's a good chance Josh, and we still are hearing the rumors that Josh is possibly leaving, he has not resigned. I have not checked to see if he's resigned. As far as I know, his wife is gone. She's going to be finished by when it comes to Genesis, or maybe after she does an extra couple of tapings, because she's not resigned. She's gone. She's going. We will also see Josh go with her. Either he's going to go to Maple Leaf Pro, maybe with his wife, and stay with Scott, or he'll go to AEW or WWE. He's not staying. If he hasn't resigned, he's either going to Maple Leaf, AEW, or WWE TKO. So it's one of those three. But if he puts over Santana in an I Quit match, that will really help Santana and give him way more credibility than he's ever got as a singles competitor before this situation. And I'm pretty happy about that. Now, what do I feel? Rosemary and... as I said earlier in this video, I did not watch NXT. I didn't. I apologize because of what happened, because of USPS and my package disappearing. They said they delivered it. It was never delivered. Not one bit. I never got it. So I was pretty pissed. So I did not watch NXT, and I didn't see Marsha Slamovich being there and looking at Jade and her big ass. Those implants look pretty good, Cora Jade. There's some nice titties. I didn't think she really needed to have implants because it's obvious her chest was much smaller when she left. Coming back, her tits are much bigger. It doesn't make her less of a person having bigger boobs or less boobs. She was always a very good-looking woman. But if it makes her happy, she feels more confident, more power to her. But I didn't see the match that she had, and I didn't see Marsha at all. But now we get the confession between her and... Did I like the Rosemary? Look, they talked the truth. It's been 7 years for Rosemary since she won a title. She's been there a long time. And the key of this situation is, when you look at Rosemary, she hasn't been built very well. Yes, she's gone to NXT more than a few times, but really she's lost more than she won. Let's make it clear. Rosemary's won less and jobbed more in 2024 than she ever did. And honestly, that hurts me personally as a fan of her. Not a diehard fan, but a fan. Now she's going to have a match against Marsha. This will be her third title defense, I believe. It could be her second, but I do believe it's her third. And when you see the situation with this confession, I'm like, it's not bad, but it's not great. I really would want more. I really do want more of a story between these two, instead of feeling that it's been rushed because it's now Genesis and weeks ago was just the best of TNA. And we could have had actual episodes, but it's understandable. It was Christmas. It was the end of the New Year. They didn't have anything. And, well, it was before Christmas. They did one episode, and then they did the best of again after that. I'm saying I wish there was more content. I wish it had been developed more than maybe a few weeks. I think it could have been almost a month, and that would have been at least something. With more talking between each other, maybe a fight between each other. I'm just saying. I will give you this. Seeing this, and yes, when you see Tessa and I'm going to tell you this. Am I fond of Tessa? I can't tell you yes or no. I have not seen anything from Tessa yet. When Jordynne Grace does that match with her at Genesis, because remember, this story right now, they just showed Jordynne Grace coming out, going to commentary, signing the contract because Tessa didn't want to. Later in the night, right after what happened with Joe Henry and Nick, she comes out. Tessa did sign it. They have the fight, and Jordynne gets over on her. I can't tell you that I am for Tessa or I'm against Tessa. I can't tell you that I don't trust Tessa. I can't tell you I trust her implicitly. I said wait and see how she acts, not only on the show, but also whatever reports we get in the back. Because as it stands right now, there's still, some people just don't trust her, and some people do. Some people, they'll still say that she acted like a bitch and didn't want to fess up to it. And other people are saying, dude, let it go. You're holding a grudge. That's what people are saying. I'm not going to tell you I'm for or against her. I'm not. I'm just going to tell you, let's watch, wait, and see how she acts on the show Nick Booker and how she acts when it comes to any reports that we see. Because there's two things we're going to recognize. If Tessa goes immediately for Marsha Slamovich after Genesis and there's no build, it is obvious they're being very partial to her, and they wanted to please her to get her to work there because, like the reports were there, it was not the TNA staff that decided to hire her. It was someone from Anthem. They didn't say it was the president. It was someone from Anthem who made that call to hire her. If she becomes champion within about a month or two after Genesis, we know there's being partiality. That's what she wanted. And that is going to cause a controversy. If they give her a slow burn over about a 5 or 6 month period to build up into becoming a champion, then you can honestly say, me personally, I would just be glad there's no controversy and she just does her job. Other people will have to think about, okay, it took almost 4 or 5 months for her to finally win a championship. Like when Trinity came in. There's no problem with that. 4 or 5 months, build her into it. Then if she does become champion in 5, maybe 6 months, maybe at Slammiversary, well, not Slam, when is Slammiversary? I think July. July is Slammiversary, or I think it's July Slammiversary, not June, but July. If she wins by then, at least it took 6 months for her to easily become a champion. But if she wins within 2 or 3 months, you can't tell me people are going to say, there's something wrong with here. Has she gotten that much pull in there that quickly? They just threw the damn title on her, and then they start throwing women at her? And people won't be happy with that. They want to see a proper rise, and I say again, not only a proper build for her, she must be nice and friendly to the people in the back. Not just the wrestlers, but the staff and everyone else that she meets, including fans. If she has an attitude with fans, if she has an attitude with other pro wrestlers, if she has an attitude with the staff, this is not going to end. But it's just me. Peace.